Okay, everybody. Hello. Welcome to the presentation. Thank you so much for being here. Now we're live there on all of our formats. And now we're live on our podcast presentation. So, whoa, what a crazy day. Crazy. Well, thank you very much. Thank you. It has been one of those days. It has been, when you have one of those days, you just want to just beat your head against the wall sometimes. Like, good grief. Okay. Yeah, it's been crazy. 5 bishops consecrated me. So, welcome to hey, it's Friday nights. It is Friday night. And so we're going to try to have a good evening. I'm going to tell you exactly what happened, why I'm kind of overwhelmed. It has nothing to do with the trolls. Believe me, I don't really care what they think. What it is, well, we'll tell them. First of all, if you want to go to my site, let's do this way. Go to my site, Bishop James Long, and follow that up with a .com. Bishop James Long, Long, follow that with a .com, and you just you can head on over and check it out. There's 2 things I want you guys to note. If you click on the books tab, there are the books that I have written. There are several books that are on there. And again, let me just beat the trolls before, because God forbid, if you actually write a book and receive funds, they think that's the worst thing you could possibly do. Nonetheless, the books that I have written, 100% of the profits goes to the MKS Kids Foundation. It's an orphanage that we're partnering with. So we have to say that before the trolls start, because again, you write a book and you actually receive funds. That's the worst thing you could possibly do, according to some people. Nonetheless, we don't care. The 100% of that is going to the MKS. I can sign them. However, the problem is you would have to send them to me, and then with a self-addressed stamp envelope back home, because if it's $17 to send it back, I can't do that, especially if the funds are going. I'm donating 100% to the MKS. So. Just keep that in mind. Now, also, we have a fundraiser going on. So if you wanted to help out there, we have one of our clergy members that's needing some assistance. You can go to just click on the fundraiser link, and it's all there for you. Now, if you want to go to the church's site, that's far more important. That's USOCC. Follow that up with a .org. And that's the church. So if you want to know more about the church, who we are, what is the old Catholic, just go to usocc.org. It's all there. It's all there. Now, I'm just going to let you know right now, for those of you who are coming in on TikTok, if you're going to troll, number 1, you will not get my attention. Number 2, you will be blocked. We don't applaud people who come in and troll. I know a lot of people think it's cute, it's clever, but we don't behave like we're middle school students. So, just like one person got anonymous, you will be blocked. Plain and simple, you'll be blocked. And I will not pay attention. I will not look at your comment. It won't even, so why even waste your time? I don't get it. So you'll be blocked. It's the way it's going to be. So moderators, do me a favor. If they come in and they're rude, block them. Just block them. Just move on. We're done. We tried so much to beg people to change their ways, to see the error in their ways. That trolling is a sign of demonic oppression. It's a sign of demonic influence, because if you have the Holy Spirit within you, you don't troll other people. We go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And it gets to a point where you're like, you know what? Enough. Sikorsky, that's a good question. What if you feel if God has forsaken you? God has never forsaken you. It's we that forsake God. So we forsake God when God is quiet. And then we think God is not listening. And yet God is trying to teach us patience. So we need to be aware that when we pray, we have to be patient. Because what you cannot do is you cannot go to prayer and say, God, this is what I need, and this is how you're going to answer it. Because you're not praying, you're demanding. And that's a big difference. A big difference. And again, for those of you who are coming in, we're with the old Catholic Church. We don't tolerate any type of horrible things. But people are, you guys don't see it, but people are being left muted and blocked left and right on TikTok. I see it. You guys don't see it. So right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 chats open. Understand that when I have 9 chats open, I can only look at one chat at a time. So if you have a question, you're going to have to be patient. That's just the way it's going to have to be. All right. And hey, it's Friday night. It's Friday night. So I had a case tonight. And it was a violent situation. So I wasn't going to go on. And the reason is I wasn't ready to go on tonight. Everything was done. All the files were all set up. All the, the remote viewing presentation that we're doing tonight. Everything was set up. Everything. And I sat down on the computer, turned everything on, was ready to go for the presentation. 10 minutes before I start, none of the files were there. None. So we're talking 65 pages of notes gone. Not there. Boy, there's a lot of people being blocked and muted. You guys just can't be, you trolls, you just can't, you can't help yourself, can you? You can't help yourself. What's wrong? Our spirit irritates your demons? Think about this. You're trolling clergy on a Friday night. Please understand that. You're so, you're trolling clergy who listens to Gregorian chant on a Friday night. Whew. Party time. Party. Let's raise the roof. Raise the roof. Boy, I tell you what. So, but nonetheless, what happened? So here's what happened with the case, and then we're going to get into the remote viewing. The remote viewing, everybody. So there was a house in Kentucky that I went to today, and I had been working with a paranormal team for a bit. It was clear that this was a demonic issue, a demonic infestation. No, I said raise the roof. I know people they don't do raise the roof anymore. I still think it's pretty cool. I will say this, that there was a video of, well, I can't say it because I'll probably be banned on TikTok, but it was a violent video that showed this demonic infestation. And it just happened. It showed something going through the window. I'll just say that. And you can see this DOG literally being like picked up and tossed through the window. So I have that video. So obviously there was no more need for any type of investigation. I told the team to get out and just leave it alone. So I went there today, and the young lady, she was scared, she was nervous, but she had a rosary, and she was wearing a rosary. And I explained to her, well, it's not a necklace, but she was telling me, it makes me feel better. Okay, that's fine. So I had the team there, and I was going to perform what's called a minor rite of exorcism. This was in Kentucky, about 45 minutes or so from my home, and we were beginning the ritual, and we were in the kitchen. And as I was beginning to pray the litany of the saints, she screamed, and she ripped the rosary off of her necklace, ripped it off. All the beads fell on the ground. It is a kind of a form of desecration in that she didn't try to do it. She just screamed, and we were like, "What in the world's going on?" And she pulled down really her shirt, and you can see where it was like, I think it's a 2nd-degree burn, because you could clearly see where the crucifix had kind of like embedded a little into her chest. You could see it. And that was terrible. That was terrible. So I gave her another rosary. I blessed her. And the issue was upstairs. So they had two dogs. They had a collie. They have two dogs. They have a collie and a German Shepherd. And the dogs never had issues going all over the house. That was never a problem until something started happening, which it all started with the Ouija board and playing with doing things that they shouldn't have done. The boyfriend, or fiance rather, he is a contractor for construction. So he knows his construction very, very well. And the dogs had no problem going, all over the place, no issues, no problem until that darn stupid board. And then they started having this activity in this home with this dog, again, with the window situation. So we were going up the stairs, and the boyfriend, the fiance, was in front of me. I was in the middle. The girlfriend was behind me. The team was behind us. And while we were going up the stairs, the fiance let out this loud scream, and he ripped his shirt off, and there were 3 large marks right on his right on the back, right in the middle of his back. Now I saw the whole thing. It was not self-inflicted because there was actual blood that was coming through the marks. So this was it literally happened while we were going up the stairs. Because obviously what happens is sometimes is if it's self-inflicted, the blood will dry. And there's ways that we can know whether or not if it's self-inflicted, and I'm not going into telling how. This, I actually saw it, and the blood was going down. Now, thankfully, it was more of a superficial scratching to the point where hydrogen peroxide and some ointment to put on it so it wouldn't get affected. But he was like, no, we're going to go. So we went down to the kitchen. We put the hydrogen peroxide on, put them on some ointment on the back, and we said, we're going to finish this. So we went right back up to the stairs. We were going up the stairs. I was doing the litany, and the fiance of the young lady started vomiting. It was a projectile. It was bad. So I told the team, take her out. I don't want her in here anymore. She's got to go. And I'm trying to figure out how to turn that off, but I don't know how. So they took her outside. She was pale as a ghost. I mean, she was pale. So they took her out. As soon as she walked outside the door of that house, her color came back like this. And the team said it was like someone had just give her a shot of energy and oxygen. And she was like, as soon as she walked out of that house. And now, prior to performing inside, I blessed the outside of the home. Now, again, this individual, this gentleman, he was an independent contractor, construction, so he knows the construction inside and out. And so she's outside. The team said, "Thank you." I told the team we need to finish this, and so we continued. There were 3 bedrooms on the top floor and a bathroom. The main issue is in the main bedroom. That's where the activity is the most violent. The sulfur smell was overwhelming. It was incredibly oppressive. It was heavy, and we all felt it. We went to one of the rooms, one of the smaller rooms, and there was a picture of Jesus, and it had it was an older picture. I think it belonged to his mom or her mom. I can't remember which one. As I was using the incense to bless that particular room, we heard the crack. And I knew at that very moment that was some type of, obviously, a glass cracking. And I looked over to my left, and the glass from the Jesus picture shattered and fell right on the ground. We continued, and we went to the other room, and the smell, we heard some growls. The growls were very audible. We heard growls even in the kitchen. So it was a disembodied voice, which we actually heard it. And then we went upstairs to the other room. We heard growls. And then we went to... that we were going to the main bedroom. Now, it was the sulfur smell was so bad. I had to put an N95 mask on just to try to help some of the smell. And also, I had, Vicks underneath my nose, because when you're dealing with a demonic case, many times there will be an extreme smell of sulfur or rotten flesh. And so what you do is, I learned that when I was chaplaincy for the police department. Sometimes we'd go and we'd find, a person who had expired, and the smell was so profuse, you had to put some Vicks really pretty far up there so you can try to keep that smell out. In this case, it wasn't rotten like a meat or flesh. It was sulfur. Now, I want to say something about the sulfur. When you're smelling sulfur, it doesn't always mean demonic. It could be a natural gas or propane gas link. It could be electrical issues, gas appliances, a water heater, a rod reaction, like there's a sulfur smell that will come from hot water. There could be bacteria in hot water, sewer gas that could emit, this kind of sulfur smell, mold or mildew. So there are even bleach and hydrogen peroxide reactions with certain materials. So there are a lot of reasons as to why there could be some form of sulfur smell. But remember, he was in construction, and he verified there was nothing there. There was nothing, there was no issue. So we did the minor rite of exorcism there in the main bedroom, and it was so oppressive. And then when I cast you out, unclean spirit, whoever you may be. And when I did that because we've done it several times, and I did it that time, it was just like someone had just opened the window, and the sulfur smell was so terrible that I used 2 charcoals. Normally, I only do 1 in my censer in the church center. I used 2 of them, and I used half of the incense just to try to get that sulfur smell out of our senses, because it was disorienting. It was bad. So I used 2 charcoals that were burning full force with a lot of incense to try to smother out that smell. And as soon as I cast you out, unclean spirit, whomever you may be, it was like someone had opened a window in that room and everything just stopped. The oppression, the sulfur, it was a complete, and he looked at me and he said, "What did you do?" He said, "What did you do?" Eyes were really big, and well, this is what's supposed to happen. And so now keep in mind, the animals would not go upstairs. They were terrified. They were very terrified of the upstairs. They wouldn't even go on the stairs going up to the upstairs. So after that expulsion, and everything was fine. I also did the epiphany of the doors, and I wanted to see what the dogs' reactions would be. The dogs, it was a collie and a German Shepherd. We let the dogs in. They were hesitant at first, but then as soon as they went into the living room, they darted right to the kitchen, and they were sniffing. I mean, they were sniffing in every corner, and you can imagine everything. It's like they were searching for a treat. And for those of you who have dogs who just heard the word treat, I'm sure the dog just peered to whoop. But they were looking everywhere. They were sniffing under the couch, under the chair, every corner. And then I was going to see if they were going to go upstairs. They went upstairs. And that was a good sign for me. So they went in every single room. They were hesitant at first, but then the collie looked back like, well, I don't know about this, but the German Shepherd darted right upstairs, and they were looking in every single room. And it was interesting because the last room that they looked at was the main bedroom. That was the last one that they went to. So they went to as soon as you go up the stairs. So as soon as you go up the stairs, right to the left is one of the bedrooms. The main bedroom is right to the right. And then there was the bathroom right in front of you. And then there was another bedroom on this side, a little bit further down the hall. They went to the one immediately to the left, to the other one. They went to the bathroom, and then they went to the master bedroom. And they were sniffing every corner, and their tails were wagging. And it was just like, for me, that was like, oh, thank God, because, animals have no filter. If there was something there, they would absolutely let us know. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So I told the family I didn't want them being in the home. I really require, after the minor rite of exorcism, I really want the family not to be there. Minimum 12 hours. Minimum. I would prefer 24. Just to let everything settle. I mean, let me tell you something. I smoked that home up. It was smells and bells all the way through. I mean, that home was like a sauna. I smoked that. It was going to like, okay, you're going to use sulfur smell, then I'm going to put double the charcoal in there and double the incense, because we're going to have high mass in this one. And we had mass there, by the way, as well. So they're staying with a family, and then they're going to let me know how things go tomorrow. But self-identify, no. Now, the demons will self-identify when you're dealing with a person who's possessed. They'll either self-identify or they immediately go to the expulsion stage, because most of the time they do not ever want to give you their name. Yeah, that was a bad situation. So I got here. I got everything set up. Everything was ready to go. I had made sure the files, everything was done. All the articles, everything I wanted to use for that particular, for the show tonight. And I always blessed the home. I didn't fully bless the home like I always do before I come in, because I was rushed. I had a lot of stuff to do. So I got home. I did a blessing. I sat by my computer about 7:30 or so, 7:40 p.m. Eastern, and no files. The files were gone. 60-something pages of work of remote viewing was gone. All the articles gone. Everything gone. So I was actually going to cancel the show tonight because I didn't have anything. I was like, what am I supposed to do? Because I saved it. As a matter of fact, it's right here. It should be right there where because I saved it. There it is. There it is. Life is good. They were all gone. Nothing. Couldn't find it. Couldn't find anything. So 5 minutes before the presentation, I was thinking, well, I'm going to have to cancel. So I'm going to have to cancel. And then I remembered that I have a time machine on the Apple products. So I clicked on the time machine, and I thank God it saved it on the Word document. I saw the Word document. I was able to open it up and open up all the articles, everything. But it literally was completely deleted. Everything was deleted for tonight's show. Everything. There was nothing here. So I did a blessing again, and here we are. So that's why I was a little frazzled when I got on, because I was thinking, well, we're going to have to cancel the show because everything's gone. Nothing's here. We just sit on the computer and say, well, what are we to do now? Anyway, I think it's important for you guys to hear the good, the bad, the ugly when it comes to working cases. And, these working demonic cases are, you got to be careful with this. Oh, well, it got deleted because adding frustration, adding stress. There's no question that there's a correlation between the case that I worked tonight and my files completely being deleted. There's no doubt in my mind, because it's never, ever, I made sure first of all, I have OCD. So I save files in multiple places just in case. They were all gone. Every one of them. They weren't on my desktop. They weren't here on the files when I minimized them. They were all gone. They weren't on the file for Friday night show. All of those were gone. Everything was deleted. And thankfully, it was there in the with the whatever, time machine. No, it wasn't hacked. No, because why is if someone's going to hack my computer, they're not going to delete shows. It's just for Friday night show. They're going to take everything. They're going to take church files and everything else. So, but that's what happened tonight. That's what happened tonight. And thank you, Corinne. Thank you. So it's important for me to. I think it's important for me to share that with you guys, because when you're working cases like this that are very serious and very dangerous, I tell people, stay away. Please stay away from. I did have it in thumb drives. The thumb drives. That's what I'm saying. Thumb drives are deleted. Thumb drives are deleted. Yep. I have the thumb drive right here. Deleted. Nothing. There's nothing on it. But nonetheless, we're here. Thank you. We're here. And that's when I wanted to give you a little bit of an update on that. So, all right. That's what we're going. Now we're going to get into our presentation. Thanks for allowing me to share that long presentation for you. But it's just one of those things. No, I look, there's nothing there. So they're all gone. No, they won't show up. They've been deleted. So, but this is why I tell people, stay away from these cases. Just stay away from them. There's nothing good that comes from them. And unless you truly are willing to accept the sacrifices that come with working these cases, you really should leave them alone. And because this case that I worked was a very violent case. Yep. All right. And it is, that's right. Yeah, it's Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th. But of course, I don't think that was the issue. It was more of the, just one of those things. Hang tight. Let me just do this real quick, if you don't mind. I'm going to fix this air conditioner so that it's on full. Hold on one second. I'm right back. There we go. All right. So let's get into our presentation, everybody, because we got a lot of stuff, remote viewing, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. What's very interesting is I've done this show now for 23 years. And in 23 years, I've had the honor of being able to interview a lot of people. And one individual that I interviewed was a person who used to teach remote viewing for the military. And this guy, it was fascinating. His story is really and I remember I wanted to check and see if I can keep all the files. And I did. And I kept his file. Let me fix this real quick. 1 second. Yeah, I know now I look like I'm orange, but bear with me. There we go. So I remember I kept all of his files on his show and how to do the remote viewing. And I want to do that tonight. All right, let's get into our presentation, okay? And again, moderators, do me a favor. Trolls, block them. Just block them. Okay. Gosh, it seems like it's just everything. Anything else? There. No, knock it off. Okay. Let's get into this presentation, because if we don't, we'll never be able to get into the dang on thing. All right. Remote viewing is our presentation tonight. I swear, guys, to come on. Push. Go. Start. All right. This is life. This is the life of an exorcist. Remote viewing means to see or describe something that is far away or hidden. And for many, many people, it can be very, very scary, or some people consider it demonic. It is not. It's not demonic at all. And no one else is saying it's freezing up. So let me know if it freezes up. People are saying that, but I kind of think they're, or that's people who practice it usually sit quietly. They relax deeply and then describe what pictures, sensations, or thoughts come to mind about a target that they cannot physically see. So remote viewing is a kind of mental sensing exercise, if you will, not using eyes or tools, but imagination and intuition. So for those of you who don't know, back in the 1970s, during the Cold War, the United States was in competition with the Soviet Union for information and new technology. And now American intelligence agencies began to hear reports that the Soviet Union was spending money researching psychic phenomena, like ESP or telepathy. And again, hang on to your questions. Let me do this presentation. A lot of people like just to sit there and look at the screen. Well, I don't do that. And when we're here, I put something together every single week. Every week, every day when we're doing night prayer. So the U.S. decided to fund scientific studies of psychic abilities to see if they may be useful. So in 1972 and 73, a small group of scientists and employees at the Stanford Research Institute in California began working with military and intelligence officials. The group received money from the CIA and later the U.S. Army the Defense Intelligence Agency as well, the DIA. And one of the main scientists was Dr. Arnold Puthoff. Another was Russell Targ. They worked with people who claimed that they could use their minds to see hidden objects or places. And here's how their experiment usually worked. So a viewer would sit in a small, quiet room, close their eyes, and relax. And the person running the test, called a monitor, would choose a target, maybe a photo in a sealed envelope or a real place like a military base, a ship, a building somewhere in the world. Now, the viewer didn't know what or the target was. And during the session, the viewer would describe or draw what they saw, shapes, colors, structures, emotions that came to mind. Now, later, the scientists would compare the viewer's notes or drawings to the real target. This is fascinating. In the 1970s, American satellites noticed a hidden shipyard in the Soviet Union, but the photos were not clear. So a remote viewer was asked to describe what was being built there. The viewer described a large, silver gray object that looked like a submarine with unusual round openings. And months later, a new spy photo showed that the Soviets had indeed launched a new type of submarine that matched some of the viewer's details. And in 1981, this is really insane. An American general named James Dozier was kidnapped by terrorists in Italy. And the Army's remote viewing unit tried to use viewers to describe where he was being held. Some descriptions were close enough, such as noting a house with multiple levels and an archway nearby. And that intelligence officer said that the information was partly useful. Now, one viewer described seeing a large airplane hidden in a hangar in Africa. Officials later said that the description had similarities to a real situation involving a lost or hidden aircraft. And the CIA and Army viewers, by the way, were asked about the sites in the Soviet Union and China, factories, nuclear test areas, research centers. Sometimes the sketches they made looked surprisingly close to what spy photos later revealed. And other times they were completely off target. But there were some that were right on the money. So over the years, these secret programs, they had many names. One was Scanate, which is early CIA project. Gondola Wish. Another program was called Grill Flame, Center Lane, Sunstreak, Stargate. That was a final name that's used in 1990s. But these were actual names, the code names that they used for these remote viewing sessions. And all of these names, they were code names for similar efforts studying psychic spying or remote viewing. Did it work is the real question. Well, the results were mixed. Sometimes viewers gave details that were pretty accurate. Other times the information was vague or wrong. And when the CIA finally revealed everything in 1995, they decided that remote viewing data was too unreliable to use it for real intelligence of its own. However, they did admit that in a few cases, they were quite interesting and hard to explain how some of the remote viewers were so close. So even though it wasn't proven to be a dependable spy tool, the experiments themselves, they were real. They're documented officially, and they took place over about 20 years. So why does it still matter? Well, even though the official program ended in 1995, the story of remote viewing remains interesting, I think, because, one, it shows that the government was willing to explore any possible way to gather information. Two, it raises questions about how the human mind works, what it might be capable of. And it reminds us how curiosity and imagination can lead even serious scientists, soldiers, to study the unknown. The government really did invest time and money into testing remote viewing. And being open-minded and skeptical at the same time, that's healthy. We can look at unusual ideas with curiosity. The mind is very powerful. They did. Yep. they still use remote viewing to find missing persons. The mind is powerful, and even if remote viewing doesn't prove psychic powers, the practice taught many people how to quiet their thoughts and focus, relax. Obviously, those are skills that are very important anyway. So the remote viewing program showed that the United States military and intelligence community, they were willing to test almost anything that might give us an edge, even the power of the human mind. And I think it's a fascinating part of the Cold War history. You know, I grew up with the Cold War. I knew, you know, in the 80s when it was really going USSR, Russia, and United States, it was scary moments. So let me give you a vague idea of how it's done, and then we're going to do it tonight. And we're going to walk you through it, how the gentleman, when I interviewed him, and it's pretty fascinating. We'll see how things go. So just imagine yourself in a dimly lit room. Your eyes are closed, your hearts are pounding, and you're about to embark on a journey into the unknown. Now, here's what I need you to know. If you're going to do this tonight, what you need to do is have a recorder with you, because I did post that on my TikTok. I did put that on there. So if you didn't watch it, I'm nothing I can do about that. And the reason being is because you'll want to record your session or have someone there write down what you see when we do our session. All right. So now is the time. If you don't have that, get a recorder, or if you have someone there with you and you can talk and they can write down what you see. Okay. But no, it's not against the covenant. Why would the covenant says nothing about remote viewing? Okay. The process begins with a set of coordinates or a simple target description. Something that your mind cannot possibly know. Yeah, if you're glitching, guys, you got to leave and then come back. It's a TikTok issue. You breathe deeply, trying to still your thoughts, quiet your mind. And suddenly images begin to start to flicker. Shapes, colors, textures. They come unbidden, like fragmented memories. It's as if your subconscious is reaching through a veil, trying to tell you something. You might see a dark corridor lined with flickering lights. Thank you. You might hear distant footsteps echoing in empty hallways. Smell something metallic. Feel a strange coldness in your bones. Sometimes the visions become more disturbing. Shadowy figures lurking just at the edge of perception. You sense a presence watching you. The process can be unsettling. And as your mind ventures further, it's as if you're opening a door into a realm where the line between reality and nightmare blurs. Now, throughout the shadow annals of the Cold War espionage, remote viewing was employed as a clandestine weapon. It was an invisible eye that could pierce through walls and mountains, even time itself. Now, the stories that I'm going to share with you, they're not widely known, but they reveal a terrifying truth. That the military believed, at least for a time, that the human mind could be a tool for uncovering secrets so dark. And by the way, my friend who taught, well, not my friend, but my guest that I had on about 10 years ago, who taught this, he taught this in the military. So these are some of the stories that he shared with us. Listen to this. In the 1980s, a remote viewer was tasked with locating a secret Soviet nuclear facility in Siberia. What they saw was a sprawling complex buried beneath the ice and snow, vast tunnels carved into the permafrost. The visions were vivid. A massive underground chamber filled with glowing machinery, humming, unnatural energy. There were some guards, very strange looking guards. They described them as humanoids, perhaps maybe having helmets with glowing eyes, their skin pale. They were patrolling the corridors with robotic precision. There was a central control room where a shadowy figure, tall, gaunt, piercing eyes, oversaw the operation. Now, months later, what was interesting is satellites and clandestine reconnaissance confirmed the existence of a hidden underground complex, consistent with the remote viewer's description. The remote viewer reported sensing a consciousness behind the scenes, like a cold, malevolent intelligence. They obviously couldn't see what was inside to verify, but they did verify that this individual, this remote viewer, was able to capture this. The next, there was another remote viewer described seeing a missile silo buried beneath a mountain in North Korea. It was an object of obsession for intelligence agency. Their vision was very detailed. The silo's hatch was sealed with strange symbols. Inside a missile was being prepared for launch by, they describe as shadowy figures. They couldn't see them. Things that looked, though they were shadowy figures, it was distorted, blurred. The remote viewer felt an overwhelming sense of dread, as if the missile was a weapon, not just of destruction, but something darker, perhaps even a nuclear. This was before they got nuclear weapons. And weeks later, intelligence confirmed the presence of a missile silo in that exact location, which in fact, that is where they were testing nuclear weapons. That's profound. The next one, a remote viewer described a massive naval fleet hidden beneath the Arctic ice. The ships were old, with designs that looked both futuristic and archaic, glowing with a strange bluish light. And figures aboard the ships, they saw tall, shadowed eyes that seemed to pierce through the darkness, strange organic structures growing on the hulls, a sense of waiting as if the fleet was dormant but alive. Later, intelligent reports confirmed there was electromagnetic disturbances in the Arctic, and sonar scans detected anomalies beneath the ice, which in fact they found ships that were there. As a matter of fact, they believe those were the ships that were, they did a show called, there were two ships, I believe in the 1890s, that were given by the UK to go out and find the Arctic. And I can't believe I forgot the name of it, because this is one of my favorite shows. Let me find it for you. The Horror. I think it's called The Horror. But there's two. It's a really fantastic. If you have never seen it before, it is a fantastic show. One of my favorite shows. And let me see. I think it's called The Horror. Let me double check. But they found those two ships exactly where the remote viewer said that they would find. It is The Horror. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But there's two of them. The Terror. That's what it's called, The Terror, and it is with the boat. It's with the boat one. That one. So if you have not seen it, it's called The Terror. And it's on Prime. It's fantastic. It is fantastic. So they found that one. Now I got it. Now I'm orange as a pumpkin here. Let me fix this. Hold on. That's crazy today. Here we go. All right. Let's go into another. There was another. These are crazy. And these, I can't verify that these were true, but these were alleged stories that I have read through books and other articles. There was a remote viewer, allegedly, they were focusing on an abandoned military installation deep in the woods and suddenly described a massive, shadowy creature emerging from the darkness. They said it was colossal, at least 20 feet tall, limbs that twisted and stretched unnaturally. Its form was humanoid but grotesque. The creature moved with horrifying speed, its presence radiating pure malevolence. The viewer felt a wave of dread so intense that it paralyzed them. They described hearing a guttural growl in their mind. And as the creature approached, the scene shifted. Allegedly, the viewer saw a hallway filled with the twisted, screaming faces of people frozen in terror, eyes wide open in agony. The creature's gaze lingered on. The horror didn't end there. The viewer reported that in the aftermath, they saw visions of a landscape scorched and stained with blood. The only thing that they were able to find in this area is there were reports of a Bigfoot and guttural growls in that area. But whether or not this can be validated, we don't know. Another remote viewer described entering a vast cavernous space, an underground nightmare. The shadows moved on their own, flickering like flames, but they were silent. They seemed to have a mind of their own, and suddenly the shadows coalesced in like a humanoid figure, tall, gaunt, hollow eye sockets that glowed faintly red. It reached out with shadowy claws, dragging the viewer into an endless void, allegedly. They say the sensation was suffocating. The problem with these is this entity, the remote viewers said, felt like a predator, a creature that preys on fear. Again, these are just stories. I don't put a lot of weight in them, primarily because they can't be verified. This one was what's told to me by our friend that taught remote viewing in the military. And he said there was a remote viewer described entering a corridor. It was a very long corridor, and the walls, it felt like it was a greenish, sickly color. They described it. There were doors everywhere. And behind these doors, the viewer saw horrific scenes. Twisted, people with grotesque face, eyes. The corridor echoed. There was a lot of screams, whispers. The thing that they found, they didn't find this big, long corridor, but they did find an alleged home in this area that had several rooms where an individual had kidnapped people and did terrible things. So they were able to capture that. So, look, a lot of people say these are just hallucinations. They're visceral, terrifying encounters that cannot be verified. Are these visions hallucinations? Are they real? Well, let's go into this. Let's start, because I want to make sure, because we have to stop at 9:45. We have to, because we have our night prayer tonight. So I want to make sure that we get into this right now. So we're going to do a remote viewing session. We will talk. I talk about exorcisms all the time, but we're not talking about exorcism now. So this is what we're doing now. We're going to do a remote viewing session. And I want everybody to just get into a place where it is comfortable. We're not going to rush this. And as a matter of fact, I'm turning chat off on TikTok so that our moderators can do this as well. Chat is turned off. Okay. And again, this was given to me by the gentleman who taught this in the military. And this is interesting. So what you need to do is you need to have a digital recorder or some type of recorder. You can have a phone. That's fine. That will record you. The point is you do not want to wake up. You don't want to open your eyes on this, because we want to do a deep meditation session. Okay. So if you don't have that, then you need to have someone there with you so they can write things down. That is important. All right. This is what I'm going to do now. You guys have no idea what I'm doing, but I do. So just wait just 1 second. I'm doing this now specifically for a reason. Okay. I have now put something together. You have no idea what it is. And that is the whole point. Don't try to guess it now. I don't want you to guess it now. I'm going to put it It's inside here. When I open this up, it could be anything. It could be It's an object. It could be a place. It could be anything at all. Anything. It's right here. In a moment, you're going to be focusing on that, but not now. All right. Today, you're going to be learning the basic structure of a remote viewing session. That's a method of tapping into your deeper perception to describe a target that you cannot physically see. Now, friends, listen to me very carefully. This is not about guessing. That's not what you do. It's about expanding awareness. That's very important. You will notice signals below your usual conscious threshold. This is about sensory meditation. You do not try to guess. That is not the point. In this session, I cannot stress this enough. In this session, all you'll be doing is receiving visuals. Does it taste like anything? Does it smell like anything? Is it the surface? You need to be focusing on only that. If you immediately say, I vision a space shuttle going up in space. If you do that, you're going to miss the whole entire thing. That goes last. In the meditation, in this remote viewing, what you need to do is focus only on what you're receiving, not guessing what it is. That you put that together when we come out of the remote viewing session and you look at all your notes, all of your clues, and you're thinking, well, that's what it is. So you only do that when you come out of the remote viewing session. That is very important to understand. Okay? Okay. So today we're going to practice deep relaxation and focus awareness, a state that allows your mind to quiet down, your intuitive awareness to open up. Take a moment to get comfortable wherever you need to be. Don't worry about any gifts. Don't worry about liking the video on TikTok. I just want you to be in this moment. You can sit upright with your feet flat on the floor if you like. You can recline. It doesn't matter. The point is, be comfortable. And again, if you have no one with you who can write what you're saying down, then you need to be aware. You'll be recording here momentarily. When I say close your eyes, not yet, you'll gently close them. Anytime you need a stretch, just focus. Keep your phone or recording device within reach. You'll be using your voice to note with what you sense. If you have a partner or assistant, they can take notes for you. In a moment, I'm going to tell you to push the record button on your recording devices so that you can record your impressions during the session. If you have a friend or assistant recording your thoughts, then there's no need to worry about getting a recorder. No gifts. I want you to be in this moment. Before we begin the relaxation process, I have placed the target item here. It is in between the iPad and this folder. It is an object. It's an image none of you have seen. I want you now to just take a moment and just look, focus. Imagine somehow that you can sense the energy or feeling, whatever is inside. Don't guess. Don't try to guess the object. Just receive impressions now. Don't work at it. Just whatever it is. Whatever impressions, color, texture, sound, memory, emotion. If you want, you can write them down. Okay. Now, everyone, I want you to get into a comfortable position and place your recording device next to you and record. Gently take a deep breath in through your nose and exhale slowly through your mouth. I want you to now let go of that impression that you received just a minute ago when I asked you if you had any impressions. Let go of that. Toss it gently out of your mind. And whatever you thought, just let it drift off completely. Start fresh. Remember, this exercise is not about guessing. It's about receiving. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Again, in and out slowly. Let your breathing settle into a natural rhythm. And now bring your attention to the top of your head. Imagine a gentle wave of warmth, a soft light, slowly moving down from the crown of your head, across your forehead, through your eyes, letting the muscles in your face soften and ease. Feel the same wave move down your neck and shoulders. Let your shoulders drop. Relax. Down your arms and elbows, wrists, hands, all the way to your fingertips. Now this wave flows down through your chest and back, releasing tension, down through your stomach, your hips, thighs, knees and calves, ankles and feet. Every breath relaxes you more deeply. I'm going to count slowly from 10 down to 1. With each descending number, imagine yourself moving deeper into calm awareness, as if descending a gentle staircase. At the bottom, you'll find a quiet, still space of clear perception, a void, an empty large room. 10, 9, drifting deeper. 8, relaxed but aware. 7, calm and safe. 6, deeper still. 5, halfway down, no rush, go deeper. 4, deeper yet. 3, almost there. 2, drifting to the bottom. 1, deeply relaxed, fully aware, and calm. In this calm inner space, imagine yourself surrounded by a quiet, neutral light, safe, peaceful, attentive. All distractions drift far away. There's only this calm awareness, this space of receiving. Keeping your eyes closed. Imagine I'm holding up the iPad case with the item in between the two. Don't open your eyes. You don't need to think or imagine. Simply allow yourself to become aware of the essence of whatever is in between the case and the iPad. Ask quietly within yourself, what can I perceive about what's inside that case? This is about pure perception, not interpretation. Don't force an answer. Let impressions arrive naturally. Sensation, emotion, imagery. And if you're recording, you may say whatever words that come to you. Do not interpret, just receive. If someone is writing them down, please do so. Remember, you're not supposed to be writing anything down in chat. You're supposed to be in meditation. light, dark? Are there colors, patterns, angles, shapes? Again, you're not supposed to be writing anything in the chat. You're supposed to have your eyes closed, and you should be recording what you see on a recorder. Is it smooth, rough, wet, dry, soft, warm, cold? Is there any taste to this target? Whatever taste that you feel or sense, is it salty? Is it floral? Is it metallic? Is it earthy? Don't interpret, just receive. Again, important to remember, do not interpret anything, just receive. Is it flat? Is it layered? Is it tall, short? Do you receive any emotional revelations? Is it peaceful, energetic? You're doing fine. Stay open, calm. Remember, set aside thought. Let impressions arrive one by one. Don't interpret. Just list what you're receiving. The key is to gather, not to explain yet. If it's a place, what does it feel like? If it's an object that you are receiving, what does it look like? What does it feel like? Is there taste, smell? Now, I'm taking you deeper into awareness. Your body is completely relaxed. I want you to float above the target. Let new impressions appear. Describe what's present, how it feels. What does it look like? Is there smell? List them now. Remember, now is not the time to guess the object. Now is the time to only receive the impressions. Anything and everything you sense and receive, don't discard, acknowledge it, and move on to another item, another feeling. I want to focus now on the emotional tone. What is the energy of this place or object? What is its purpose, its atmosphere, its feeling? What does it feel like to you? Not the object, I'm talking the feelings. You're in that space. What does it feel like? You might receive peace, motion, creation. Do not analyze it. Just receive. Now, I want you to imagine in this gigantic room, this endless room, put whatever the target is, imagine it in the middle. Don't guess the target. Just move around it all the way around. Complete circle. And again, whatever you're receiving, record it. You may note any emotion that you feel with it, any smell, any taste, any textures that come to your mind. Is it rough? Is it smooth? I'll give you only a few more minutes for impressions. Now I want you to bring your focus once more to your breathing, slow and gentle. Begin to notice the weight of your body, the steadiness of your seat or bed or floor, the contact of the body with the object that you're sitting on or laying on. I'll count now from 1 up to 5. And at 5, you'll open your eyes, refreshed and alert. 1, slowly returning to the surface. 2, feeling energy returning to the body. 3, take a deep breath in and exhale. 4, gently moving fingers and toes. 5, eyes open, fully alert, relaxed, and aware. Unfortunately, for those of you who kept chatting in the chat, you messed it up for yourself. I said many times, don't put anything in the chat, because if you were putting things in the chat, then you weren't doing the meditation. So it didn't work. So when you're fully back and you're comfortable, I want you to take a few moments here to stretch. And we're going to talk about it in just a second. Yeah, chat was off for me. It might not have been for you, but it was off for me. Okay. Now, if you recorded your perceptions, you remember them. That's great. If you have someone there that was with you, that's great. Try not to judge what you said. This isn't about being right or wrong. It's about strengthening your ability to quiet the mind and perceive softly. And so here's what I want you to do. Before I'm going to do this, I'm going to show you what it was, but I'm curious now. So Arturo said a pickle. So Brett fell asleep. Fair enough. Now, I want you to look at all the clues that you got, all the clues that you put together. And now I want you to interpret them. Now's the time to look at them, This makes sense to me. This is what I saw. That's what I felt. Now, keep in mind, it's not going to be a perfect picture of whatever it is, but you might have actually received something in the senses. So we'll talk about that in a moment. So not just all white, green, blue, mountain, and water. Okay. A rosary, card, Mary Archpiece. Huh? I was thinking of a key, a feather. Anybody else? I'm curious about what did anybody else get? I understand that, Arthur. Crown and a cross, some kind of wood, a flower, St. Michael necklace, airplane, flowers, palm tree, rosary, my goodness, house, and then a cross, a mushroom, sports car, sunken ship. Well, there's all kinds of answers, isn't there? Man. So someone says metallic, crossing guard, paranormal, metallic. A writing or, okay, birthday, an egg, rotted egg. Okay. Mountain, reed purple. Okay. There's a lot. Treasure chest. There's a lot of mountains. A lot of people saw mountains. I'm going to give a few more minutes to kind of put you guys so that you can write down and kind of figure out clouds. Okay. Now it could be I could have done anything in the world. I could have written anything. I could have anything. I'm going to write it down. Well, not that you guys don't know. All right. There are clouds in this picture. There is a tree in this picture. There are birds in this picture. There is a house. There is a little leadway, a walkway to the house, and little flowers. Here is what I drew. That's what it is. Birds. See, that's interesting. Warm. Very cool. Because you have the smoke coming from the chimney, so you got the warmth. Flowers. Yep, those are my best flowers I could do. You were inside a small cabin? Well, there we go. Key to the door? Yep. Was the pickle inside the house? But this is that is what it is. Of all things that I could have drawn, I could have put draw this United States map. I could have done an airplane. I could have Eiffel Tower. I could have done everything, but that's what I drew. So I'm just curious, how many of you, after seeing that, how many of you got some of it right? So there's quite a few flowers, the clouds. But you got to remember, I want you to remember though, I could have drawn anything. I could have anything in the world. So if you got birds and if you got the sky, that's good. If you got warmth, well, warmth makes sense because you got the chimney there, trees, and some people say stream. I mean, my drawing is pretty terrible. That could even be seen as a stream. Windows. So that's pretty cool stuff. Yeah, I didn't want to do a target number because in target numbers, that can get kind of really confusing, especially for this one. So this was just a a bare bone on the surface to kind of see if you are able to even get any type of feeling. So there's target numbers, and then you can kind of get even more, a lot more terminology that we didn't even use. But the problem with that is it gets a little confusing. And so I didn't want to get too confusing. I just wanted to do just the surface of it, just the surface, because when you have it's good, it's good, and that's a lot of times people will immediately say, miss everything. It takes time. It takes time, and it was interesting. Yeah, even if you didn't miss, if you didn't get anything, it's still very interesting to do. So you can always go back and have that with someone else. And you can have whatever it is. It could be anything, whatever it is that you imagine, that's the target. That is the target that you try to do. So, but it's kind of cool. All right. So what I found interesting about this is that this is something when you're talking about remote viewing, this is something that the military did, and they capture some pretty amazing things. I want to give you some definitions, if you will, of remote viewing. There is what's called aperture. Aperture is the amount of sensory or conceptual information that a remote viewer receives during a session. For example, a narrow aperture provides limited raw data, while a wide aperture allows for more detailed impressions. That's what we did today. There's also what's called associative remote viewing, otherwise known as ARV. That's a technique where different targets are assigned the possible outcomes of a future event. So in other words, a remote viewer describes a target, and their description is later matched to one of the predefined targets to predict the outcome. There is what's a term called bilateral stimulation. That's a BLS. That's a technique that's used to engage both hemispheres of the brain, sometimes incorporated into remote viewing techniques like tapping, eye movements, auditory cues. There's a term called blind targeting. It's a remote viewing session where the viewer is given no prior information about the target to prevent contamination. Similar to what we did. There's all kinds. There's we can go on and on and on, but I think it'll blow kind of like too much. But there is I thought it was pretty cool. Some of you did pretty well. Some of you did well. Yeah, they do. Again, I didn't want to get, this was not an in-depth, advanced remote viewing session. This was a remote viewing session that's on the bare surface, just barely touching it. When we go into deeper, it's so intense, you can't do it in 45 minutes. Can't do it. Yep. Here's the picture again. Okay. All right. So there we are. Very cool, guys. Very, very cool. Yeah, nice curtains. Yeah, well, and the curtains were open. The curtains were open. So that's something. That's something. All right. We have some really cool articles that I want to get to, which, by the way, I was able to save. Thank God. Because you remember I was telling you earlier today, everything just kind of said, okay, goodbye. That was crazy. All right. Let's go into, we already done this. Oh, you got the basement? All right, hang on, let me just find this here. There was a recent there was a recent UFO sighting. Well, I shouldn't say recent. It was the TK Randall writes this. New leaked U.S. military footage shows a fast-moving UFO over Syria. The intriguing new footage was recently revealed by investigative journalist Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp. According to Corbell, the clip, which was reportedly filmed by MQ-9 Reaper drone, was recorded back in 2021 over Syria near the border with Jordan. The object, which was visible for over a minute, was recorded using thermal imaging and, according to Corbell, exhibited instantaneous acceleration as well as abrupt directional changes. And accompanying intelligence documentation also allegedly claims that there was no evidence of any known traditional propulsion system or thermal signature. Now, the origin and nature of the object have been formally described as unknown. And speaking on the Weaponized podcast recently, Corbell and Knapp noted this particular region has become something of a hotbed of sightings of unidentified objects. And according to Corbell, in one incident, the bridge of a U.S. Navy vessel was suddenly bathed in a light so intense that the commanding officer was unable to see her hand in front of her face. So this was just recently released. And if you want to check that out, it's a new leaked U.S. military footage. It's pretty fascinating. I don't know what this is, but just type in new leaked U.S. military footage over Syria. It's a fascinating story. Yeah, I mean, when you think about that, that's kind of scary if you think about it. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That's very nice of you. Yeah, we do that. We do. By the way, we always do our meditation session every Wednesday night for Bible study. Every Wednesday night for Bible study. All right. Let me move that to trash. This is fascinating too. So this is by TK Randall as well, and there is a new magnetoplasma rocket that could get humans to Mars in 30 days. So the development of a whole new type of rocket engine could help to open up the solar system for exploration. Boasting greater efficiency and speed than conventional chemical rockets, plasma engines could one day make it possible for a spacecraft to reach Mars within a matter of days rather than months or years. Plasma engines work by ionizing a propellant gas, accelerating the resulting charged particles using electric magnetic fields to produce thrust. Both NASA and the Russian Space Agency have been working on developing this technology in recent years, with their efforts boasting potential travel times of 45 or 30 days to get to Mars. That is crazy. NASA's version include the pulse plasma rocket and the variable specific impulse magnetoplasma rocket. Russia, meanwhile, is working on the magnetoplasma accelerator in Moscow, which, according to reports, could be ready for testing by early as 2030. And elsewhere in China is also trying to get in on the action, with President Xi's Aerospace Propulsion Institute developing what it calls high-thrust magnetic plasma thruster. So, friends, it seems that there is a rush in many different countries that's trying to get this out as quickly as possible. You know, when you look at it, that's pretty impressive. That is very, very impressive. Okay. Yep. And if you have questions, we'll be more than happy to chat with you. Well, thank you very much. Thank you. And we can chat about that in just a second. Now, there is a lot of nonsense going on. Imagine telling people that there is a gigantic black hole in our solar system. There are people that are now spreading this rumor that we're going to have 7 seconds of no gravity on Earth. I don't know. And then people believe this stuff. Don't believe this nonsense. This is something that people made up, and people immediately they jump into it. Oh my gosh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? So for those of you who haven't heard, it's a viral claim on social media that Earth will lose gravity for 7 seconds on August the 12th. Well, anyway, friends, it is a false, baseless rumor. NASA has not announced any such event or an $89 billion project called Anchor, and gravity cannot simply just turn off. It's impossible. So there's no scientific basis for this. We're not going to lose gravity for 7 seconds. It was social media posts, often referencing a leaked NASA document. Anytime you see that, your red flag should be everywhere. So, a leaked NASA document suggests a 7-second loss of gravity on August the 12th, a total solar eclipse. Anyway, so everything that's not attached to the ground, people, water, vehicles, would float. The Earth's rapid rotation would continue, causing the atmosphere and oceans to lift. And then, of course, after 7 seconds, the sudden return of gravity would cause everything to crash back down. Friends, this is absurd. Don't believe this nonsense. It's ridiculous, and it shouldn't even be considered. So don't waste your time. But there are people that legitimately worried about this. There were people asking questions. Well, would it be a good idea for me to stay in my home? Would it be a good idea? Really? Come on. So no, it doesn't exist. We're not going to lose gravity. It's not going to happen. It's a nonsense, ridiculous social media nonsense. Okay. Right. And yeah. All right. Why 7 seconds? Why not 8 seconds? Yeah. Why not 8 seconds? Now, here's the interesting, Tiki Rana wrote this as well. Artemis 2. Well, thank you. Artemis 2. There's been a delay. It brings moon landing conspiracy theories back into focus. Imagine that. There is still a large group of people who do not believe that Apollo moon landings ever actually happened. I'm curious. Do you believe we truly landed on the moon, and that, or better yet, do you believe Neil Armstrong actually walked on the moon? I'm really curious. If you say yes, no, really? So we have a few. Nobody has been to the moon? Okay. That's fascinating. There's a lot of people who say they don't believe it. Well, no, the question is not that we went to the moon, is that we actually walked on the moon. Did Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, were they the first people ever on the moon? Or do you think we've never been on the moon? Folks, listen, the Bible, the earth is not flat. The firmament was their way of trying to explain the atmosphere with their limited knowledge. We cannot use the Bible as a scientific explanation of how the earth is, or if it's flat or round. I mean, come on. This was 3,000 years ago. They didn't have satellites. They tried to make sense of what the firmament was. I mean, I think we got to relax a little bit and on the hopped on the, yeah. Okay, so here's the deal. If you have not heard about this, well, the Saturn V rocket carrying Apollo 11 and its crew first took off from Kennedy Space Center July 16, 1969. The whole world watched in bated breath as three men took to the heavens, the most daring mission ever. 4 days later, Neil Armstrong emerged from the lunar lander, descended the ladder outside of the spacecraft, and left the first ever footprints in the lunar soil. Even today, more than 50 years later, Apollo 11 remains some of the most celebrated technical achievements in human history. That said, there do remain some folks who continue to argue that those landings never actually took place. And rather than returning humans to the moon, NASA's upcoming Artemis 3 mission will see instead humans walking on the moon for the first time. Now, when Artemis 2 was delayed earlier this month, it fueled speculation about more cover-ups and the notion that even now NASA does not have the means in which to send humans to the lunar surface. And there are even some who believe that the Artemis program will itself be a hoax, and that manned lunar exploration is totally beyond humans' technological capabilities. And that raises the question, when the first astronauts emerged onto the lunar surface during the Artemis 3 mission, in the not too distant future, will it spark a whole new era of moon landing conspiracies. So for those of you who don't know, Artemis 2, the goal is to launch this rocket and have it fly around the moon, not land, but around the moon, and then obviously re-enter Earth's atmosphere. And then Artemis 3, the goal is to place again human beings on the moon. Now, a lot of people want to know, well, why haven't we been back? What's the deal with that? Well, and I'll tell you the answer to it. So I have a friend of mine who actually is an astronaut. I went to school with him, a high school with him, very smart guy. And I asked him that specific question: why haven't we gone back? I mean, and if we had the knowledge in 1969, why are we acting like we don't have the knowledge now? It's a little absurd. And here's the issue. So after we landed, if you believe we landed on the moon, after we landed on the moon and the Voyager did everything that they did what they're supposed to do, we landed, everything was fine. The goal was no longer to continue to land on the moon. The argument is we did it, fine. They put all of their money, everything, into the space shuttle program. The space shuttle program was very costly. And that's actually when they began thinking about the International Space Station and things of this nature. So the space shuttle, the program, it was not meant to go to the moon. It was meant to orbit and to create an International Space Station. And that's what we did. So the money really was just pumped into the space shuttle program to place satellites, obviously, in orbit, and of course the International Space Station. Now, when the Challenger explosion happened, which I remember that was devastating. That absolutely devastated the program, and it came to a screeching halt. The O-rings is what caused the shuttle to explode, the Challenger explosion, and then when the Discovery. When it unfortunately broke up on re-entry, the heat shield just simply, it was flawed. They had some major problems with the heat shield. And they see it when the Discovery took off from the launch pad, you actually see chunks of the heating pad fall off, which you don't ever want that to happen. So, of course, unfortunately, the Discovery, disintegrated upon re-entry. Now, I want to make please understand, a lot of people think that the Amazon founder, what is his name? Bezos. And they say that was all, we're still having night prayer. They say that whole thing was nonsense, that the people didn't go up into space and things of this nature, that William Shatner, he was on with it. And that it didn't do it. It was all a lie. It was all fake. It was all phony because they opened the hatch from the inside. Friends, listen to me carefully. Yes, they in fact did go up. They were there. They did go up into the rocket, but they did not go into space. So when they go into space, you have obviously everything has to be pressurized and properly pressurized. No, a Challenger did explode, and then Discovery did too. Well, it didn't explode. It burnt up on reentry. So the thing it's just like an airplane. They didn't go up high enough to where, like outer space, like for example, you have SpaceX. SpaceX goes out into a little further out into space where you have to have pressurization, etc. So there's no way you could open up the hatch from the inside. That's why when the vessel comes down and it lands in the water, it has all those burnt streaks all over. You see it. There's burnt streaks everywhere on the vessel. That's because of reentry. Now, on Bezos, when they landed, there was no burnt marks, and people said, oh, that was fake. No, it's not, because they didn't do reentry. There was no reentry. So there was no heat shield. There was no need for it because they weren't into the space that was coming down. When reentry, you get very hot. So you have to have a heat shield for that. That's why there was no burnt marks on the William Shatner's on their vessel. So yes, they opened it up from the inside because you can, just as much as you can open up a plane. So when a plane lands, the flight attendant can open up the door. It's not as if they can't open up the door. It's the same thing with the Bezos rocket. All right. So that's the difference. When you see a SpaceX come down, their vessel, you're going to see burnt marks. They're definitely going to see burnt marks on the vessel itself. And that's because of reentry. Well, yeah, I mean, as far as astronauts and things of that nature, I still think it's pretty cool. Look, let me tell you this. Whether or not you like it or not, I love space. I love space exploration. I went to space camp as a kid. And I can tell you, I loved it. Absolutely love it. That's incorrect. Nikki, listen. Why are you taking why are we taking what the Old Testament says about the firmament? It's 3,000 years old. They didn't have rockets. They didn't have satellites. They had incredibly limited education and knowledge on space. And we're going to act like that's a science book. It's not. It's not a science book. And the whole firmament, I've talked about this many, many times. The firmament is what they try to explain the heavens in their limited knowledge. And now I guess we have a flat earth as well. Okay. I mean, it's like, goodness gracious. Come on, people. So nonetheless, okay, let me just close this up here. Yeah, it's like, really? We're really at that point now where we think that the Bible is now a science book? That's kind of fascinating how some people go to that level, but okay. Yeah, that's the thing. It's just odd. It's just odd. Yeah, I've done a presentation once, many, many times actually, on the firmament. And we have to stop soon because we have our night prayer that we have to do. Okay, so I will explain briefly. Well, all right, let's explain what the firmament is, because apparently there's a lot of confusion. But it's kind of hard to do this in such a quick little answer. So the notion that the sky was a vast solid dome, that was a common theme among the ancient people whose ideas of cosmology have come down to us. The Egyptians conceived that the heavens to be an arched iron ceiling from which the stars were suspended by cables. That's what they believed. And likewise, to the mind of the Babylonians, the sky was an immense dome forged out of the hardest metal by the hand of Marduk and resting on a wall surrounding the earth. So according to the notion prevalent among the Greeks and the Romans at that time, the sky was a great vault of crystal to which the fixed stars were attached, though by some of it was held by iron or brass. So the Hebrews entertained similar ideas, appears on numerous biblical the Bible passages rather. We see creation. We read that God created the firmament to divide the upper celestial from the lower or terrestrial waters. Now, the Hebrew word there means something beaten or hammered out, and thus extended. The Vulgate, rendering the firmamentum, it corresponds more closely with the Greek Septuagint word, made it like of something firm or solid. But it is their expression of their understanding of how, in fact, the world was and exists. We're not going to look and say, okay, well, 3,000 years ago, their science was far better than ours. We have satellites in space. I can assure you, our Earth is not flat. It was the ancients being able to try to describe with their limited knowledge of how the world exists. How they're trying to make some type of sense in it. And I don't know why we're acting as if it's a science book. It's not. All right. Vivian, actually, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 chats open. So I have this computer here and I have this computer here. So yeah, it's multiple. I'm trying to juggle multiple chats at the same time. Right, yeah, right, Nancy. They didn't even understand lighting. That's right. So I think we got to. It's like, really? All right, so let me do this. Before we go into any further, I'm going to say goodnight to those who are listening to this on podcast. It's much easier if I do it that way. That way I can kind of close this out because I got to close the presentations one at a time. Now, eventually, friends, we're going to be on our new network, and that's happening soon. And maybe even next week. We'll see. And let me do this now. I'm going to upload this so you guys can have this on podcast. And that way you can do this later if you want to do your remote viewing again. So let me do this. It's you go to bishopjameslong.com and you click on podcast link and you click on the paranormal. Yep. And I'm gonna be on a brand new network. And we were on a network prior to this, and now we're going to a new network, which is a pretty lengthy one, pretty large network. And then we'll be rocking and rolling. I want to remind folks, don't forget, if you want to go to my website, you can, bishopjameslong.com. Do me a favor while you're over there. Head over and click on the books link and purchase those books. I want you to purchase all of them because 100% of the profits from my books that I wrote, we as a community are donating 100% of them to the MKS Kids Foundation. It is an orphanage that we are partnering with. And so please consider doing that. Doing exorcism stuff. Well, we'll talk about with demonology. So yeah, Mr. Producer's over there now. And also, if you go to Bishop James Long, click on the fundraiser link, and one of our clergy members, they need some assistance. And you'll see it there. Click on the fundraiser. We don't get paid as clergy. We do ministry 100% free. And so if you can, that will be wonderful. I'll tell you all about it. I promise you. Once I'm able to give the green light, and Mr. Producer will be there. And we're excited. It just basically means it's going to be put out on a lot more platforms, which is fun. That's fun. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and close out shop for all the other platforms. TikTok, I'll be with you in a moment. Remember, friends, your value does not decrease based on someone's inability or refusal to see your worth. You're priceless. Don't let anybody tell you or convince you otherwise. We have night prayer coming up here very soon. Please join us in about 10 minutes or so, and hopefully we'll see you then. All right, so everybody, God bless.